Played in the 1965 Cup Final, the 1965 League Cup Final, the 1967 FA Cup Final, and the 1971 European Cup Winners' Cup Final.
The replay in the Cup Winners' Cup Final. So what can you tell us about that? That must have been amazing at the time.
Talking to that game was amazing, and the reason for that was in 1962, Real Madrid played Eintracht Frankfurt in Scotland at Hampden Park, and they won 7-3, and I was like 14 years old, and their forward line that day was, they won 7-3, the forward line that day was Canario, Del Sol, Di Stefano, Puskas and Gento. And 14 years later I was playing in Athens as number 2, and Gento, who was now 38, he was playing number 11. So I was marking this guy, so that was just amazing.
And that was a really big achievement, wasn't it, for Chelsea to win the Cup Winners' Cup? One of our first big wins in Europe. It meant a lot to the club, didn't it?
Yeah, any achievement to win any cup is great, but for Chelsea, that was Chelsea's first European trophy, yeah. And to win a European trophy is great. And
famously, of course, it was a replay, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a game on the Wednesday. Well, there's a funny story about that. The game on the Wednesday, Gento played and I marked him, and he didn't play in the second game. So my friend Alan Hudson said that he'd been left out because I played him out of the game. But in the second game, he came on as sub, and when he came on, he had his watch on. So the story goes is that he was running down the line with the ball, and he remembered and I was chasing him, and he remembered his watch. So my friend says, he stopped, took his watch off, handed it to the dugout, and carried on running. And John Boyle hadn't caught him yet, and he was 38 at the time. But yeah, it was a fantastic final, fantastic to play against them kind of players. And to win for Chelsea was brilliant.
Do you remember the celebrations afterwards, or is it a bit hazy?
Not immediately afterwards, no, but I remember the celebrations. The next day we arrived at Heathrow Airport, and from Heathrow Airport all the way into Fulham Broadway, there were crowds of people lining the M4, the motorway part, or was then. And we arrived at Fulham Broadway, and there was just an amazing crowd.
What was that era like? What was that team like? What are your memories from that time playing for Chelsea?
Well, I feel I was the luckiest person in the world to have been at Chelsea those 10 years. Relegation was never mentioned. I stayed there from 62 to 73. They got relegated in 75, so all my time at Chelsea was just in the first division.
Who do you think was the best player that you played with at Chelsea Football Club?
My best player was Peter Rhoades-Brown. He was my best friend from 17 until he died. Rest in peace. We were the greatest of friends. He was the best man at my wedding. And yes.
Are you enjoying the book launch today? I think it's a fantastic event, isn't it?
Yeah, great fun. Yeah, it's really funny. It's really good fun to meet Paul Trevelyan and Harry Harris. I'm really pleased, and a few others. It's been good fun.
And it was a great era, wasn't it, when you played football for Chelsea? A real golden era of football.
Oh, I was really lucky to have played in the time that I played in. I once played in Milan against the Milan Select, and that was the forward line they had that day was Jair da Costa from Brazil, Sandro Mazzola, who was captain of Italy, Angelo Sormani, who was the most expensive player in Italy, Luis Suarez, who played for Argentina and Barcelona, and Amarildo, who played for Brazil. So, and I played against Johan Cruyff when he was 18. I've been lucky. I've played against probably all the best players in the world. In fact, I actually looked the other day on a Ballon d'Or. I looked, and I'd played against 7 of the top the Ballon d'Or winners.
Some class players named there. So what was your best match for Chelsea, would you say? It might be a tough question, or it might not be.
Well, the first one I played, I tackled the guy and he got booed after 20 minutes, and they carried him off. And then there was about 20 minutes to go and I scored the winning goal.
Well, it's been lovely to speak to you. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Lovely.
We welcome to the Chelsea podcast Peter Rhoades-Brown. How's it going?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Yeah, just nice evening. Few familiar faces.
Of course, we're here for the History of Chelsea book launch, which I've got right here. Nice copy. How excited are you to be here?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's only a couple of ex-players here, but it's always good to come down, meet supporters and, meet some ex-players. Just in Stevie Wicks. I haven't seen him for a number of years, so always good to have a chat with everyone. Going over old times.
So tell us about your career at Chelsea from the beginning.
Oh, I loved it. Born in Hampton, just outside, and Hampton Court, that area. Got spotted when I was young, 12 years old. Signed as like a schoolboy forms. Danny Blanchflower signed me as a pro. So left school, 78, quality, loved it. Always a Chelsea boy. And then made my debut at 17, Jeff Hurst. Match of the day. Thought I looked quite good on Match of the Day. And then, just had some glory days as well. It's really nice times. Some great players, your Pat Evans and your Speedos and, Kerry Dixon, Mickey Joy, Wixie over there. Some great times. So I think 109 games, Chris, actually, for Chelsea. There's a couple that stand out.
And what do you think was your best match for Chelsea?
I mean, I enjoyed my debut. On my full debut was 1980, first game of the season at home against Wrexham, 2-2, scored. I think the Chelsea supporters were thinking, we've got a left winger here that can score goals. I think I scored 5 actually in 5 years, so but anyway, it's fine. I think my glory day for Chelsea was the Liverpool goal in 1982. Drawing Liverpool in the FA Cup in 1982 was they were champions, European champions, and Dalglish, Rush, Hansen, Lawrenson, Grobler, Souness. That's a team. Phil Neal. In fact, I've still got Phil Neal in my pocket if you'd like to see him. And we won 2-0, and I scored after 6 minutes, and then we hung on. But to be fair, I think we played really well that day, and that put me on the map, to be fair, with the Chelsea supporters, which was good.
And there was a great atmosphere at the bridge back then, wasn't there?
Yeah, we had. Yeah, the 6 years, the 5 years I was at Chelsea. Sorry, 6 years I was at Chelsea. It was like always second division, which was a struggle. We struggled a few seasons, but we had such good passion as players and team members. And like your Mickey Filleries, your Johnny Bumstead, your Gary Chivers, like Colin Pates, and like people will know that's the passion of the club. Clive Walker, Colin Lee, goodness me. Dennis Rofe at left back behind me with Chris Hutchins as well, and Mickey Joy, Gary Locke. Goodness me, it's like Peter Barotta in goal. I mean, we weren't the best, but we dug in for the badge, and we loved the club. Money was great, but it wasn't like it is now. But I wouldn't change it, When we had a good hardcore supporters, Joey Jones, I love the man Joey. I remember his debut when we played Carlisle away, and he said, will the boys travel? And I went, oh yes. And when he came out the tunnel, he was so surprised of how many boys turned up on his debut at Carlisle away. He got sent off, 2-footed tackle. He thought it was fair, but it wasn't. 1-0, and the supporters then took Joey to their hearts. I'm passionate about the club, obviously. I've had some great times and some great players.
You mentioned Clive Walker. He was a fantastic player for Chelsea, wasn't he, during that era?
Yeah, Clive was good. I mean, I'm an Oxford boy now because I've moved to Oxford from Chelsea, and Clive was an Oxford boy back in. I'm still in touch. I spoke to Clive last week, so we're still in touch. I think the 80s we do that. We still keep in touch. Clive was special. Scored some great goals. A fan's favourite, and some really bad hairstyles back in the day as well. He'll hate that.
So Jeff Hurst gave you your debut. What was he like to play for as a manager? Because we all know him as the great legendary footballer, but as a manager, what was he like?
Yeah, Jeff Hurst, I think it was his first managerial post, him and Bobby Gould. Bit of a legend, obviously, because of the World Cup, as you well know. However, not a great manager. Gave me my debut, so I can't knock him. However, I think he, being his first role, I think he learned a lot from it. That's me being tactful. But Goldie is when Jeff left and Goldie took over, different kettle of fish. And then we moved on to who came in then after that. John Neal, John Neal, good manager. So, but Jeff gave me my debut, and to be honest, I love him for that.
But it's interesting, isn't it? A lot of fantastic, legendary players never really make it as great managers, and I suppose Jeff Hurst was in that mould, really, wasn't he?
No, you're right. It's fun, isn't it? You look at it and you think, well, you should have learned something from the game, but I think it was still quite new for him. I don't think he went any further in his career as a manager. I think he probably realised that probably wasn't for him, but gave me my debut. I think I've said that.
Was John Neal probably the best manager you played for?
In the Chelsea jet, for sure. He believed in me, played me. I had 109 games for the boys, which was great. He liked his wingers. We had myself, Pat Nevin, Paul Cannaville, Clive. Clive played up top as well. But basically, he believed in me as a young kid, 20, 22. And then, obviously, he comes to the end of your reign at times. But I gave everything for the club, and I gave everything for John and Ian McNeil as well, his assistant. But at the end of the day, you can't be there all for the rest of your life, which I thought I would, because I'm a local, and I thought I was going to live and die at Chelsea, but things happen, and we signed Mickey Thomas. So Mickey came in, I left. So can I just put it on record that I left so Mickey could play, and Mickey was a legend, and you got promotion. Done my bit. I've spoken to Mickey a few times, and we chat very well. Done my bit. At the end of the day, you move on and do other things elsewhere. But over the years I've been there, to be honest, I've met some great people.
What's it like as a player when you know your time is up at a football club? Have you got any control, any say in what happens?
You don't really, because I thought it's really weird, because I was playing in a combination in the reserves, because Clive was playing and I think Canners was playing well. And I was quiet in those days, not now. I was quiet in those days, and I went into John Neal's office and said, I demand to be on the bus to Derby on Saturday. And he went, oh, why that's great. And I went, no, I demand to be on. I stood up for myself. And on Thursday, Colin Pates said, Rosie, John Gaffer wants to see you. So what I did, I went in, I thought, I'm on the bus, I'm on the bus. And I went in and he said, we've just signed Mickey Thomas. And I went, oh, wow. He said, yeah, so that's 5 wingers in the club and your 5th choice? But to be honest, what he did, he got me a move to Oxford United under Jim Smith, Robert Maxwell as chairman. And they got £85,000 for me, record transfer fee that day. I moved to Oxford the next day because I knew I just wanted to play football. And I knew I wasn't going to get a game at Chelsea again, which was really sad. So I didn't have a choice. I had a year left on my contract. But if I'd have stayed, where'd you go?
So it was made clear to you that you weren't going to be involved in the first team plans at that stage.
To be fair, I will say, he said, do you want to go? And I went, have I got a choice? He went, you can stay, but I advise you to go. And I said, well, what do I ask for? Because I was naive. I've been at Chelsea since I was 11. And he said, well, you need to ask for this. You need to ask for a signing on fee, which is this much. Wow, big money. Because I'm 22, but I'm still a kid. And then he said, you need to ask for this. Wrote it all down for me. Sent me on the road to Oxford. And Jim Smith signed me. I asked for what John said. Got it all signed up, and I signed the next day. You don't do that transfer like nowadays, do you? You have to speak to your agent first. I rang my mum. She was my agent. And you know what she said? or Oxford, that's got a lovely shopping centre in Oxford called the Westgate. Go and sign for them. So I did. And I'm still there, so it's fine.
Thanks a lot for joining us on the podcast. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. I just want to say thanks to all the Chelsea boys and stuff, because for the start of my career and the best time ever, you know, from the age of 11 all the way through to 22 to 11 years with the club. It's the best thing I've ever done. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Top man. Thank you.